Alright guys, well we're here with Joe today, and as promised, these are our tips for bending forward and trying to avoid injuring your back. So Joe, what have you got for us today?
So I think the key thing is to be able to differentiate movement from your hip from that of your spine.
Yeah.
And there's going to be certain contexts where both need to move together, but particularly in high load tasks, for example lifting something heavy or trying to develop power from your hips as you would in a sporting context, I think it's very useful to be able to move from your hip whilst keeping your spine relatively still.
Yeah.
And this is quite simple. So from a standing position, all I really need to do is soften my knees,
Yeah.
and reach my pelvis back in space.
Yeah.
And that's basically a hip hinge there.
Yeah.
Now, a useful learning tool is a stick, so it could be a broom handle or something like so, that you place behind your back, and then you have room for your hand in the curvature of your lower back.
Yep.
And room for your top hand behind your neck.
Oh yeah.
And now as you bend forward, if the stick comes off your tailbone, you know you've flexed
Yeah.
from your spine as opposed to moving more purely
Yeah.
from your hip.
And is that is that a harder position to hold as you go lower, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. As you go lower, see, I feel my hamstrings scream a little bit at the bottom, which is why my demonstration didn't go any deeper. Now, if the task required that you needed to be lower, that you needed to get your centre of gravity lower, then a squat as opposed to a hip hinge is probably a better strategy. Now, with the squat, rather than just reaching your hips back, you reach them back and down and allow the knee to bend a little bit more. So as you come down,
Yeah.
the knees bend and the pelvis goes towards the floor as opposed to purely back as it would in the hip hinge.
And that'd be a good exercise, would it, just to help improve movement of the hips and perhaps practice a bit of control through the pelvis and the lower back? Is that something you sort of get our guys to practice, or your clients to practice?
Absolutely. I think the only other thing I'd add to that is in many contexts it's normal for the spine to flex, especially in more low load tasks, bending over to pick up something light, or to tie your shoelaces, or to lift something that requires your spine to bend and control. And to do that safely probably requires a second video.
Yeah, no problems. That's awesome, mate. So effectively your key messages are straight spine. You can use that with the stick.
Move from the hip.
And if you want to get lower, flex the knees, and that should help get down to where you need to be. But I'm trying to keep a straight spine in the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thanks Joe.
No
Awesome.
worries.
Cheers.